Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to episode number 33 of Spoilers of the Damned. We are here today to talk about Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce, which was, I'm gonna spoiler alert you right here. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was probably the most expensive B movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, probably.
It had everything. It had zombies, aliens, vampires, swords, but what? And glass, hundreds of glass doors being shattered, completely blown apart.
A lot of explosions, a lot of shattering glass, actually. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's where the budget went. Blood more glass.
I do love about the movie that you can see the budget on screen. It's nice. It someone didn't embezzle this money. It was spent, a lot of it, but it was spent on the actual movie. But before we get into discussion of Lifeforce, it's been a while for us between recordings. How have you guys been?
Good. Yeah.
Skyrim.
Skyrim
and For Honor. That's been me. Just like the whole Viking thing has just been really settling in on me for a while. And For Honor, doing the Valhalla thing as a Viking character, and then eventually playing Skyrim itself. Like,
nice.
As a Nord, which is Viking-ish. And, it's pretty great, actually.
To someone who's only played, really, Oblivion, and superficially at that, like, I played it once, with all the DLC and everything, but I don't really... For me, I'm not really into the Elder Scrolls, but I enjoyed the game Oblivion.
Yeah.
So, to me... the difference between a Nord and anyone else is just that they don't have a top on. Is that right?
They don't have a top on?
Yeah, because they're like, I live in the cold, so it's okay to not wear a t-shirt.
Oh, a top. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
For some reason, I was thinking like a top, like a hat or something.
An English anachronism coming through there. Yeah.
Right. You know what? I don't really know about like an actual difference beyond that, because I do know that like racial bonuses they get are like resistance to cold and things like war shouts and stuff. But that's just things that they're trained like culturally. I wouldn't really consider that like a racial boon. But whatever. Because like them and like the Imperials were like, I don't know, and then Britons. They're all just white people. I don't really know what the real differences are.
That's their power. Their superpower is being white, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. I know, like the Imperial has Imperial voice, so they can actually command someone and give basically it's a charisma buff on one person. They can use once per day, sort of like flaunt their authority. And then the Britons have the war cry, and then not the Britons, the Nords have the war cry, and I think the Britons are like magically in tune. So like all things related with voice, I think. So, authority in a way, but no, I started playing it again because I just I just wanted to. I kept thinking like, yeah, you know what, Skyrim was kind of cool. Maybe I'll do it. But it'll be like my 7th or 8th time like picking it back up again. And every time before now, I would always just like start up the game, choose the Nord side because the Imperial side just tried to execute me not even like 3 minutes ago. So I'm choosing the Nord side, and then I'll go to the first town and follow the story, and maybe one day actually finish the game. But no, this time it's like after the intro, which, are you familiar with the intro at all, Tom?
Yeah, I've played the intro Skyrim.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think when it came out.
Yeah, so the dragon attacks and all that kind of stuff. Instead of that,
I basically literally 5 minutes after that I stopped playing. I don't know why.
It's like such a big world. You're thinking, oh, what do I do?
Yeah, I think the time sync aspect just kind of, it's I think also I ran to a place and I got killed by giants and I was like, fuck this.
Yes, the giants. Yeah, you don't mess with the giants, but they don't mess with you unless you mess with their mammoths. So it's not like a thing where it's an unbalanced situation. It's more like one of those challenges you should approach later or not at all, to be honest. There's nothing really to gain from it. But anyway, what I did is instead, I just like the guy who helped me escape was like, yo, my sister's in this town, we should go hang out over there and buddy up. And I'm like, peace. And I just go a different direction entirely, not even like on the road. I just start walking into the wilderness, like through the trees. Like
you're the epitome of that Homer gif going backwards into
exactly that. Yeah, it was like bye. and I go into the bushes. And my idea this time, my challenge was to just avoid civilization entirely and see if I could survive it, you know. And to that effect, it's been fun, a lot more fun. I have way more gold now than I would normally have, which is weird because I don't spend it on anything. I just pick it up. And then I just pick up the weapons that are better as I find them. I don't even like buy or sell armor. Like if I kill a guy who's got better armor than me, then I'm wearing his armor, which it's weird to kill the guy with better armor than me and then put on his armor like that's going to keep me safe. But, you know, the other thing though is I use some mods. The PS4 version actually has access to mods, free mods that are user made, which is awesome. I didn't realize that until I bought the thing. But
I didn't know that was on PS4.
Yeah.
Mods.
Yeah, it's on the PS4. I was like, wow. They also have like a creation club thing that, you know, you can purchase officially made mods from Bethesda.
Yeah,
but
I remember that being somewhat controversial at the time.
I don't see why anyone would. I mean, there's some things in there that are neat, but it's not like a huge library of constantly updated content like the user created stuff is. But one of the things I picked up is better crafting. And this is something that actually solved a big problem for me when playing the game before. If I have a steel sword, I have to sell it because there's no other way to turn it into anything other than using it myself. But I already have a steel sword, for example. But this crafting mod actually allows me to break down the steel sword into steel ingots.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like orichalcum ore, conundrum ore. I can like pick up an orcish weapon and break it down to its base components, or like a percentage of it, and then just reuse it. So, like in my wanders, I found a mine, and the mine, of course, had bandits, so they attacked me first. What are you going to do? Crush their skulls and take all their stuff. And they have a smelter, a workshop, and a forge right there on that spot. So now that's my mine. You know, I'm not going to like buy a house and put a mine on it. That's my mine now forever.
You liberated it, a la Far Cry 5.
Exactly. And I just smelted down all their stuff. And then I have bricks of steel. So now I made steel gear, and I made it fine, and then my blacksmithing goes up because that mod actually lets me gain blacksmithing skill when I smelt things, not just when I build things, which is really nice because smelting is part of blacksmithing, you know, creating the ingots, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, with leather and stuff, when you, like, make leather strips and leather out of fur and things, it gives me skill. I'm kind of rambling here, but this shit was amazing. I was like, man, I feel like the immersion's so hard right now. Like, I'm doing this Conan the Barbarian shit, and it's working.
Yeah, it improves the roleplay of the game because there's more you can do now.
Yeah.
I like mods like that because that's a problem I've got with Elder Scrolls games in general, because I'm the same as Tom. I can understand why people like them, but I've never finished Oblivion or Skyrim. I love the Fallout games, but I've never finished them because I think the problem is it keeps like saying, oh, it's this big immersive RPG, but then you end up getting so much stuff that's useless.
Yeah, that's a problem I have is as well as that is being over encumbered all the time because I don't know whether to pick something up because it might be useful.
Precisely.
Or I certainly don't want to be trekking back into the belly of a dungeon again just to grab something I missed because it was important.
Exactly.
And then you get that message, you are over encumbered, and it's just like, okay, what can I literally just throw away? Like a couple of things, just throw them on the ground so I can walk at a normal speed again.
Yeah, let me just eat all this cheese I have. I can eat like 100 pieces of cheese. Oh, I can run again.
Yeah,
but
I
then
love how
with a simple mod.
That's perfectly logical. Oh, I'm carrying too much stuff, so I'll just eat like...
Yeah.
Like, that won't add to my weight. That won't add to my weight at all.
Now I am stronger. But yeah, a simple mod like the one Chris has downloaded completely would change the way the game plays, because now you can almost hardly, you know, if you really want, you can roleplay just being like a blacksmith.
Yeah.
What class are you? Blacksmith?
Yeah.
I smelt stuff, I make good gear, and then I sell it on.
Yeah. And you can also mod up for the merchants to have the money to buy your good gear too, which is also really frustrating. Like you find like a hunter's rest kind of place where like a couple of hunters who smoke leather, not leather, but you know what I mean, like prepare leather and chop wood and basically just exist in peace. And you're like, oh, I can buy and sell these guys. I can trade. They have 12 gold. You have like 30 steel swords that you liberated from a bandit camp, and you're like, well, I want to turn these into something less weighted and as valuable, and you guys cannot help me. So I'm just going to over encumber my ass to the next other town and see if I can't sell all this stuff. So, man, when I found that mod where you can just, like, break it down into ingots, I'm like, yeah, you know, like, I can actually, like, make my character settle in a place, and like this is just my domain. And then when I play, it's not about, oh, I'm the Dragonborn, which is fine if it is for people. It's just, for me, it's like I prefer to just stay in my head and experience the atmosphere and the ambience. That's what you play Skyrim for, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only problem I have now is that unless I want to be a murdering sociopath, I don't really have an in-game lore reason to leave where I am to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just gonna go find a bandit camp, I guess, and murder all the people inside.
Let's see if I can find any more resources.
Yeah. So that's where the problem is. But just before this podcast, I saw a YouTube video for a Beyond Skyrim mod, where you're allowed to actually leave the border of Skyrim and go into Cyrodiil itself, or Tamriel. Whichever one is the word.
Of course, because one of the DLC packs basically had one of the maps from, was it Oblivion? Or one of the previous games? You could actually go to an area from there, couldn't you?
Yeah, but this is a user-created, like, a community mod that's designed to rebuild all of the world itself. Morrowind, Jesus. Oblivion, Elsewhere, all of the places that you've ever known or experienced in any of the Elder Scrolls games, all in Skyrim's engine. So that's pretty crazy. And right now they have one section already available to play through called Bruma.
That's crazy.
That you can play through. But my thing is, in the same position, if I were to have played Skyrim a lot and want to take that character and explore the other worlds, there's no gear incentive or spell or power incentive for my character to do this.
No, to be honest, you want some kind of like almost some kind of like Monopoly esque kind of like game mechanic where you can become the best blacksmith and then like drive other blacksmiths like to different parts of the map and take them out of business and like flood the market and do all these kind of like almost Machiavellian kind of like twists and plots and schemes to become like the best blacksmith.
Yeah, the one blacksmith, the only. They just call you Forge from now on. It's like sort of like the prison gang mentality, but it's just you and the rest of like Cyrodiil or Tamriel or whatever the world is called. I think Cyrodiil's the name of the continent, isn't it? Or is it Tamriel? I
think Tamriel might be the continent. I'm not sure. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I mean, I did play Oblivion pretty much nearly all the side quests and all the DLC. Back in like, I guess 2009, 2010, something like that.
Wow.
Like I did it over a summer holiday. Like so yeah, it probably was 2008 actually, because I think it was the summer before uni. I literally just played Oblivion all day, every day. For days. Yeah.
I wanted to do that, but Oblivion was so abrasive to me because I wanted to play like a spell sword character or like a warlock character with like the sword and like usually a big sword and plate armor and the ability to cast magic. But like making a build like that work in basic vanilla Oblivion was very difficult because things keep leveling up as you level up, and you want to barter for better prices with the merchants. So you try to barter with them, play that silly mini game. Then you get experience points in bartering, which levels you up, but doesn't level your combat up. But the enemies level up because you leveled up, so it becomes like this lopsided like combat difficulty, and I couldn't overcome it with like a hybrid character.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say vanilla. I feel like I am quite vanilla when it comes to these games in that I literally just brute force my way through everything. I don't bother with magic or sneaking or any of these things. I just literally give me the sword and show me where to go, and I'll hit them with the sword.
Yeah, actually hit them with the wacky stick.
So I probably, in not putting the level up skills in magic or other things, that's probably how I got through it.
Yeah,
I don't remember it being too difficult. But my favorite thing was the Dark Brotherhood. That was my favorite. Was it Dark Brotherhood?
Yes.
I think they're vampires. I can't remember.
Oh, the Dark Brotherhood or just assassins?
Yeah.
I think the Dark Brotherhood specifically. I really liked the missions and the kind of the whole, you have to meet this guy in a pub or something like that, and he'll give you a dream. You'll have a dream about him, and then you have to go to their hideout to join and stuff.
Yeah,
I remember all that kind of, I thought it was really inventive. I mean, the only reason I picked up Oblivion and started playing it was because, if I remember, I think it was 2008, because at the end of that year, Fallout 3 was coming out, and I never played a Fallout game, but I was really interested in Fallout 3 because it looked like it's my bag. It's post-apocalyptic, industrial kind of like wasteland. And obviously they said, the people who made this made Oblivion, and so I saw Oblivion and I thought, I may as well try this. So that kind of got me hooked on the gameplay loop, and then Fallout 3 came along and gave me the skin I wanted for that gameplay loop.
Yeah, also it's because one of the major problems again with the Elder Scrolls games has always been the combat.
Yeah.
Because I like sword and shield or two-handed swords, that type of thing. I mean, playing stealth is quite fun, but I like melee weapons, and the melee combat's always just been just a little bit off.
Yeah, not amazing. I think I like Fallout 3 better in that respect because you can use VATS sometimes to get you out of like a hard time.
And VATS is fun. That was a really just genius way to retain some of the... Because I think the first two Fallout games are kind of quasi turn-based.
Yeah.
So it was a really smart way in a first-person shooter to actually still retain some of the turn-based aspects. And it's fun always targeting their head with like a shotgun at point-blank range and watching it fly off into the distance.
Yeah, in slow motion.
Yeah. Like, shit, there it goes.
Yeah.
Or even if you stuck a pistol, you get a critical hit and their head just like pops off. It doesn't explode, it just falls off.
Yeah.
Like, that feels nice.
Yeah, that is nice. And I'll agree with you. Elder Scrolls melee combat has always been pretty awful.
I need to be shown the twat button. Whatever button just twats them around the head with something, that's the button I will press, and I'll press it until they're dead.
I wish to twat it. Dong, dong, dong. It'd be really cool. The gameplay of, the world of like Skyrim with melee combat similar to Condemned.
Yeah, I remember Condemned. Like, I haven't played an awful lot of the original Condemned, but I did play a bit of it, and I remember it being kind of satisfying to thwonk people in the face.
It's so satisfying.
It also felt a bit kind of cumbersome, a bit blocky, but like a bit heavy. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of moving around, but it was really satisfying. Like when things kind of connected.
Yes. You see like teeth flying. Like, take it, you homeless bastard.
Yeah. And then it's like, use my phone, do some CSI bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays that's a little hard to take that. It's like he didn't use his phone for all of those things.
Yeah.
But Condemned was really great though. I did watch a playthrough of it because I wasn't courageous enough to play it myself, because it is kind of in your face, and I don't like survival horror games where they set you up for a jump scare that you can see coming.
Yeah, and you can't avoid it.
I've only played so far into Outlast for that very reason, the first one, because it's kind of like, the lights are off, here's a thing you can only use periodically. So it's like, I know you're going to put me in a big dark room with an enemy in it and make them go ooga booga booga and scare the hell out of me. And like, that's fine. But I prefer the kind of the atmospheric kind of, I prefer to be creeped out in my head rather than creeped out in like my literal like body functions reacting to things happening. But I think we talked about that before with like music and stuff in horror films.
Well, that's why I enjoyed Alien Isolation so much, because there was a lot of sneaking around, but because the xenomorphs, it didn't have like it didn't really have a set path. Like it would just search randomly for you, because it kept you on your toes more. And also it forced you to move more, which made it more intense, because you're like, I need to run a bit, it could turn around at any moment, I need to move. Whereas in Outlast, I very quickly realised it was just, it's another dude with a weapon, a big scary dude, and he goes this way, then comes back, and he goes that way, and then comes back again, then he stops, then he goes back that way again, and that's when you go, like, too much of that. That was too much of the game, was just, and it's another dude. It's another dude again.
And once you get over the shock of the dudes and you know roughly where you're going, it's I never got past that point, because it was already starting to do the jump scare thing, and
I mean, there were some jump scares in isolation, but they always earned them more as well. And also, it was more a sense of because you fucked up, so you were expecting them. Like one of my favourite moments was I've told the story before. I was watching the xenomorph going back and forth because it was I knew it was looking for me because it had seen me. So at that point, it was kind of patrolling because it knew I was there. So it was like constantly just like it's got to be in this somewhere. But it would look under beds randomly, and it would check beds that it hadn't checked under before, which was always fun because that's how it killed me a few times. I'm like, oh cool, I learned it here for a bit. Oh, check the bed over there. Okay, cool. Now it's leaving again. Why is it stopping? Oh, it's turning around. And it literally just stop in front of my bed, and then its head just like peeked down. Hello, I'm like hi. But one of my favourite moments was I was in an air duct. It was one. There's like air ducts, like small ones in the walls that go between rooms. And I'm like, okay, I'll just hide in here. And it's good. Oh, it's going back. It's going past. Oh, it's crawl. Oh, it's going to crawl in here with me. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah, you're going. Oh, hello there. You know, just rip my face off. So that's fine. And there was other moments. It was mainly the androids, the synthetics that would have more jump scares because they didn't really make any sound when they approached you, and they would just like come up behind you and just like start strangling you.
Oh my god! Like,
whereas,
because there's no reason for them to make a noise.
And then as they're strangling you, they say something like, "You are becoming hysterical. Please calm down." Whereas in Outlast, it was like, "Booga booga 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 that was annoying. Oh, where's my controller? Oh, there it is."
There reaches a point where like I'm enjoying the game and everything, but I have to think about like my actual physical health and whether like shocks to my system are good for me.
Yeah. And when it's just like a regular dude, it's like where is my kick in the groin button?
Yeah.
Where is my bludgeon to death with any of the objects around me button? Mm-hmm. Like I could pick up. There's like a pole there. I could like make a cudgel out of a chair. Xenomorph, you're not gonna hit it around the head with a pipe wrench because it will just bite your face off.
Yeah.
You know?
And they could probably take a hit or two as well anyway, so...
Precisely.
Yeah.
Even
Best
if you
case
try and
scenario,
shoot it,
you managed... Yeah, best case scenario, you break its skin, it's going to melt you anyway.
Yeah, this is what happens. It's like you try and shoot with the shotgun at point blank range, you get doused in acid and just die. Like, ah! It's good fun. So you can just set it on fire with a flamethrower instead, which is good because it makes it fuck off, but then... It comes back at like about 10-15 seconds later, really pissed off, and just starts sprinting around looking for you. So even then you're like, yeah, I've got a flamethrower, I'm empowered. Like, not really.
Oh, wow, that's terrifying thinking about it.
It's on my list.
It's like,
I have got
it gets really angry.
It's like messing around with like a hornet's nest or something, you know, and you get that one hornet that you like almost killed, and it knows you almost killed it. And then it's going to come after you, and only it's a xenomorph instead of a hornet. And wouldn't you rather it was a hornet?
Because remember the first time I used it, I was like, yeah, go on, fuck off. Blast in the face, and it's going, ah, and it runs off. I'm like, yeah, you get in those air ducts. Yeah, you fuck off. And I'm going around doing things, and they show, boom, 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 screech, do, 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 do. I'm like, oh, it's fucking running after me. It's pissed off. And then, yeah, I'll get you again. Oh, I've run out of fuel. Oh, hello. Hi, you want to eat my face? Go. Yeah, oh yeah, you want to eat my face. Good, there we go. Cool, great.
Yeah.
And that's fun. That's good horror. Not just, boo, spooky ghost.
Yeah. And at least in that scenario, you know what's chasing after you. Like,
Exactly.
with the whole thing I brought up with Condemned is that, like, you go into a room full of mannequins that are just, like, carefully placed everywhere, and, okay, mannequins. The person I'm looking for doesn't even look like a mannequin. So this should be, oh god, it's a mannequin, and it moved. What the hell happened? And apparently there's a cult of people who look like mannequins. So now I have to fight those guys. That's weird. All right.
And then they copy it over in the second one as well, and it's not as effective. I mean, the first one, I think there's one area where there's like just loads of mannequins, and none of them jump out, which was great because you're immediately thinking one of them's going to be alive, one of them's going to be alive. Oh, none of them are alive. Oh, okay, that must be right. And then later on, that's when they get you. But yeah, I do agree that some of the jump scares in that are just a bit annoying. Like the atmosphere in general is just great anyway. Like some of the more unsettling moments is when you see you see an enemy just running away in the distance. You're like, oh fuck, he's hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
Because then you're just like, motherfucker. It's like, you know he's going to try and come back round and beat me over the head with something. That's scarier than booga 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 booga. I know there's someone in there, but I can't quite see where he is. Like, and you want to get the drop on him before you can get the drop on you.
Yeah, that hunter.
It's the more descriptive moments that they're irritating.
Yeah.
The second one was really, really guilty of that because there's wee moments where the main character's like hallucinating, and there's like weird sludgy slime monsters everywhere, and they keep jumping out of the floor and the ceiling and everything, and it gets really, really fucking annoying. Because it is that problem. It is that screeching in your face. Go away. I can't stop this. Scripted.
Yeah. It's kind of like...
I did nothing wrong.
Was it Doom 4? Or no, Doom 3, sorry. I almost called it Doom 4, but Doom 3, the survival horror Doom that was on PC and all that such.
Yeah.
The Xbox Classic? I can't call it the Xbox One anymore. The Xbox Classic, or where they released Doom 3 onto that, they had to pare it down to fit. So a lot of the game was the initial part, which was really good. Like the intro to Doom 3 was really good.
Oh, the intro's great.
And then like after you start having to survive the Phobos, Deimos areas, they just start dropping an imp in front of you. And it goes, because it teleports in front of you. And they teleport one right behind you as well. But they do it in sync, so you don't hear the other one behind you teleport on top of the first one, kill the guy in front of you, and you get hit in the back of the head. Huh? Where'd you come from? Blam. And then you kill him, and then like it's that for like 3 hours. It was ridiculous. I was watching my cousin play through it, and it was just like, turn around. Yep, see, he's right there too. And we just kept killing the guy in front, turn around, kill the guy in the back, keep going, kill the guy in front, turn around. Yeah, so lazy.
Because I remember really liking it, because I only ever played like the first 3/4 of Doom 3, and I just ended up getting a bit bored of it. I remember it really annoyed me even back in the day. Like, it looked gorgeous, like for its time, like the lighting effects were amazing, it looked good. It really annoyed me back in the day that, oh no, you can only have the flashlight out or a weapon.
Yep.
That's stupid. It's like, oh, what are you going to rely on? Like, well, I want to shoot it, like, oh, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
Yes, because apparently the Marine doesn't know how to hold a sidearm and a flashlight at the same time.
Nope.
Which people that aren't even trained know to do that.
Like, are we in such a scientific future that duct tape or things like that don't exist, aren't just lying around?
What about like the shoulder lights from like Aliens that the Marines use?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like attached to their armor.
Or just like having the flashlight over the pistol with your other hand, you know?
Yeah.
Like you see in movies all the time. Like, give that a shot. I mean, it may not be the most effective tactical thing to do, but just try it.
The closer they get, the less accurate you got to be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Doom 3.
But I know that in the re-releases they fixed that.
Yeah, they fixed that. They realized their mistake, which is such a great thing when a game company does that. When it's like, look, we screwed up. We're not going to hold our ground on this one. We're just going to... We've realized you guys are right.
We're really sorry, guys.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time thinking about this, and we failed you, so...
We have failed you. We have failed you. I'm trying to think... You said about actually, one more thing, the imp spawning behind you. It does remind me of, despite not really liking the game all that much, Bioshock, was it Infinite? The third one, yeah, Bioshock Infinite. The game, I didn't like the game that much. I mean, it was fun and all that, but it wasn't as smart as it thought it was. But there's one really good jump scare in that, and it's the only one like in the entire game.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
When you push, I think you're doing something in one of the areas, and you push a button. And you're like, oh, cool. Then you have to physically turn around yourself, and then it's just a random enemy. There. He's just standing behind you, and he doesn't even do anything right away. It lets your brain realise there's someone behind you, and he just screams and runs off, and alerts everything else in the area.
Didn't he have like some kind of like special helmet or bell or something?
Yeah, and it's great because it's the only time it happens in the game. It's like, that's how you do it. You get one.
Great. It's great first and foremost because it gives you enough time to actually work out that something's, like, it's that thing with cats and cucumbers. I don't know if you guys know the thing with cats and cucumbers, but basically, for anyone who doesn't, there are various videos online you can find on YouTube where there's a cat sitting down, someone puts a cucumber next to the cat turns around, looks at the cucumber, and jumps in the air like 10 foot and flies off because something has entered their peripheral vision that they weren't expecting to be there. Yeah. And so it's kind of like that. It's just, you run in this place, you press the button, you think, okay, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to go to the next place, and it's just... it's there. And it doesn't need a sting or... a sudden sound or shock or that I miss the art of subtlety. I mean, like,
it is nice.
I'm sounding like an old guy now.
But also, like, it only happens once the full game. So, and it comes in like towards the end as well. that's why it captures you off guard as well. But then, like, for that final area, you're always just on edge, and it never happens again. And I love that.
Because I want to say that Bioshock had more moments like that. Bioshock to me felt more. It was still very clearly an action game, but it had that kind of like that underflow of kind of horror-esque elements as well.
Oh yeah,
and Bioshock Infinite didn't seem to have that as much for me. So it did kind of. That's why it's memorable, I guess. At least they didn't cheapen it by trying to do that too many times. Yeah, that felt like a Bioshock 1 thing to do in Bioshock Infinite.
In Infinite, it was more a case of the writers sniffing their own farts. Like, oh look, aren't we intelligent? No, you're not intelligent because I figured out your plot twist an hour into the game.
Meta.
No, they are not meta. They're sniffing their own farts. They didn't notice it. Sign me up. I'll fix everything. Give me loads of money.
Give me loads of money.
I want to be a game design maker, man. Give me the monies, please, and I will write terrible scripts for you.
Yeah.
Generic
the thing is, like, once somebody sits down to be like, I'm gonna fix this script and it'll be so much better than that piece of shit that they have passed off as good, and you start thinking, oh, this detail doesn't really work for me, and then you start piling other things together, and then you start realizing that you're in way over your head.
It's like, oh god, what have I done? Like, my script doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, I had a good idea, but it turns out when you start attaching details, the whole thing falls apart.
And it was at that moment Matt decided to become a hack. I'll become a hack now. I'll be able to get away with it and just say that I'm making a throwback to the B-movies of old.
Yeah.
Speaking of throwbacks to B-movies of old, and scripts that apparently seem to go through several different iterations.
And things.
As I'm reading from the trivia page on IMDb, let's talk about Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce.
Yeah.
Aw, you mean you weren't going to try to Lifeforce a pun?
Oh,
yay!
No.
I'm trying to work the word vampire into a sentence. It just I'm on the spot. What do you expect from me? I can't do that.
That's the best thing. When I can just come in on the side when you try something, so I have all the time to either choose or choose not to do the pun, depending on how I feel about it. Whereas you're on the spot and you're like, crap, I get
Lifeforce.
I think what we've worked out here is
Willy.
My pun guns are not loaded, and I've been caught with my pants down.
He's in firing blanks.
Pew pew.
Pew, pew.
So anyway,
Lifeforce was pretty good though.
Zombies and tits. Let's go.
Yeah, Zombie and Tits the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
Matt, this was your choice.
Indeed, it was. Yes, this was a film I knew about I've known about this for years, and for whatever reason, I just never got around to watching it. And I knew because the things like I saw like the plot outline. I saw a review on it, and I knew that I'd love it. And I still didn't watch it. I don't know why. I've got no excuses. So that's why I was like, this is perfect. I'm going to pick it and finally watch it, and I fucking love it.
Oh, so you've never seen it before?
No.
Oh, wow.
I just knew a lot about it, but I'd never actually watched it.
It is very much in your wheelhouse in terms of the
people
involved
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, this is totally a Matt movie.
It's great. I loved it.
Like, I was thinking I was gonna hate this movie. Not hate it, but you know me, I'm just sort of weird like that. I didn't really have any excitement for it at all. But then, like, the last 35 minutes were fantastic.
It's mental. I love the last 30 minutes. That's the thing, is like it's like three movies. Like it's like three different movies that have been like combined into one.
Yeah.
Because you start off and you've got all the mystery involving the ship they find in Halley's Comet.
Yeah, long lingering shots, really good cinematography. It felt, everyone says this, but 2001-esque in terms of kind of the scale and everything.
It's like if 2001 met Alien.
Yeah,
and then like decided to write a film script. Incidentally, the screenplay was written by co-written by Dan O'Bannon, as we all know. Co-wrote the screenplay for Alien and directed Return of the Living Dead. So
yes,
it's the third time Dan O'Bannon's been on the podcast technically. So you got all that at the beginning, all the strange space stuff and the starship and all this mystery about what happened with the crew, what's come back with them, are these things human, are they not, what are they? Then the second part of the movie is almost like it's almost like a thriller in terms of the fact that they're trying to track her down, and it's like, oh well, she can go. It's like it's all supernatural, obviously, but it's like this chase movie. They're trying to find her down. They're tracking her, and they're flying all over England trying to find her. And then the final act is like a zombie outbreak movie.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane. It goes completely mental. And it's great because you follow these characters for so long, so you don't know you're following them, and then there's the big realization of, oh, she's literally been fucking with us while the others have been doing, like, basically causing mayhem in central London, and they get back and it has all hit the fan. And it's great because another thing I really liked was I like all the characters. I cared about everyone. I cared about all the characters. Even the what was it, the deputy minister? Sir Percy Heseltine, the character's name is. He's the but he works for the government, and he goes along with the Colonel Colin Caine, which is like the best SAS colonel name ever.
That's the guy who just I think I was talking to you about this before the cast, but he just turns up at this like scientific institute of somewhere in Britain, and they say, oh yes, so we went on a space trip and we found some aliens and we brought them back and they've escaped and they're killing people, and he's like, okay, let's work with this.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just doing my
job. He just takes it.
He's probably my favourite character in the movie just because he's like, all right, yeah, well...
He's very no-nonsense.
Yeah, it's like, well, shit's got to get done, so I'll just believe whatever you say, Doctor. But yeah, like, even, as I said, the Defence Minister, and I even cared about him. I cared about all these characters, like Dr. Falado. I was like, Dr. Falado's badass, as we will get to shortly. But yeah, I cared about everyone, and they all... And I turned to my girlfriend and I just said, isn't it nice in a sci-fi horror movie where the scientists are actually smart?
Yeah.
Because they figure it all out. They figure out that immediately they go, it was 2 hours ago this happened, so that's why he came back to life and did this. So that means 2 hours later this person's going to do the same thing. And then they speculate about how it works. They get on with things. They don't do anything like overly stupid. Like they're immediately trying to do something to fix it. Then there's not all this, oh my god, that's a strange glowing object in there. I'm going to take my gas mask off and it's made in my face.
Yeah. Can I really quick interject just the fact that like the two British Special Forces guys who are guarding the two male vampires, how they just didn't hesitate to use grenades and all their ammunition.
It's great.
That was wonderful. I was
like,
so happy to see that.
They like unload into them. It's like, well, they're still coming. I'm gonna blow them up.
Yeah.
Right. If the bullets ain't working, let's see about explosives. Let's see when they don't have any limbs.
They didn't stop, hold the trigger, and then scream until they get killed.
Yeah, like in other films, like the soldiers would just like do that stereotypical thing in horror movies where the soldier spazzes out and just unloads a clip and goes, like they're in the corner, like you just run, and they're like, no, we're gonna blow them up. Like it's good, and there's a lot of. Like some of my favourite moments, there's like no dialogue. There's a bit, as if we skim to the end, there's a bit right at the end when it's all kicking off, and the American colonel and the British colonel go to see the Prime Minister, but then they find out that he also has been infected because that was
such a great scene. And that was a great scene.
They just like watch him. They're like, he's acting a bit weird, and they just like watch him. He goes behind the monitor, and I think it's either him or his secretary sucks the life force out of him. And they don't even say anything. Caine just picks his coat up and they leave.
Yeah.
They just go, fuck it. This place is fucked. And they just go. I loved it. Like, I loved it.
Everyone in there is like asking questions like, what are we supposed to do? Blah, blah, Prime Minister, this, that. Like, excuse me, we gotta go.
They're like,
you guys are all fucked. We're already just cutting our losses here.
It's like, you, helicopter dude, yeah, we're leaving. Go on, go now.
Yeah.
They're really, really like pragmatic, and there's not really any moments. Like, once it gets like past that initial bit at the beginning where there is all the examinations and the hypothesis and all that, there's no moments of just, how do we stop them, gentlemen? I don't know. We need to do this like for half an hour and like, maybe this will work. Oh, there's no scenes like that. It's just like, okay, boom, they've done that. They figured it out. Boom. Oh, this doctor's figured out they can be killed with this. Boom. Okay. Boom. Boom. Boom.
I'd like
always
to
moving
highlight,
forward.
Yeah, I'd like to highlight in particular the American colonel is Carlson.
Coulson, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
his
Carson.
interrogation technique is interesting.
It's like, tell me what it is. It's like, is he related to a certain character played by Kiefer Sutherland? Tell me what it is.
I'll slap you, I'll kiss you, I'll slap you.
Yeah.
Like, she wants me to hurt her. I can read her mind. And Kaine's like, what?
Yeah, it's
No,
one of the few
doesn't he say
moments
something
where-
like, I'm a natural voyeur, and he just sits down and enjoy the show? Doesn't he do that? I was like, because I couldn't hear a lot of the audio. It wasn't very, like, well done in the movie. But I heard that word for word, and he just, like, started chilling out. Like, I'm good. I'm used to porn. Let's do it.
Part of me's thinking like maybe he was like calling his bluff, like, oh, he just means he's just gonna rough her up a bit, and then he like sits down because then he starts looking increasingly worried as Coulson starts out a little bit more unhinged. He's, oh no, okay. All the characters are smart, like they really are. Like there's the scene with Patrick Stewart's character where it's wonderfully done where Coulson's like, can I just speak to you outside for a moment? You don't see what they're talking about. Come back again. And then they realise, this is skipping ahead, the vampires can like possess people and shit. Coulson knows that Patrick Stewart's character has been possessed, and they don't drag that out either.
No.
And Caine just literally just turns around to the other doctor and says, can I just look at that syringe a second? And just like jabs Patrick Stewart in the shoulder.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting ahead, so I suppose we
okay.
should probably just lay out the plot. It's the spaceship Churchill. I think it's called Space Shuttle Churchill.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember what it's doing, but I know that they explain why there's not zero G. It's because the way the ship's designed and the way it moves, it like simulates gravity. They get readings of an object in Hades' comet, which they equally get excited about and then worried because one of them realizes that it looks like it was hiding.
I hate to actually, Matt. I hate to actually you, but I was reading the trivia page,
Motherfucker.
and apparently, apparently the funny thing is that because I would pronounce it Halley's Comet, but it's actually pronounced Halley's Comet.
Really?
And apparently, like, all scientists know this, and for any scientist in this film to pronounce it Haley means that they're like not scientists, and apparently all the scientists in this movie pronounce it Haley.
Oh no, but they're also intelligent. Maybe that's why they're
I know,
intelligent scientists in this in a horror movie, because they're not real scientists.
Yeah.
Because usually the intelligent people in these movies are fucking idiots.
Well, the last time I saw my GP, he didn't have a sword, but
So he's not badass.
he's not quite there yet. But maybe, yeah. I think all doctors should carry swords. You know.
Now I wonder where that's come from. That it must have just been mispronounced by someone, and then it's just gone down.
Apparently, I was reading the trivia page, and it alluded to maybe the fact that obviously there was a popular rock and roll band, Bill Haley and the Comets, so people kind of just take his name and pronounce it that way. But apparently, because it's got two L's, it's Halley.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's weird, isn't it? That even nowadays, it's still like widely named Hades Comet.
Dude, I'm saving you from the YouTube comments. You know.
Yeah. Do it. Fight me.
There's
Fight me,
someone
YouTube.
there's someone halfway through a comment going, "Shit, they actually brought it up."
Yeah, fuck you. Find something else to bring up. Listen to the rest. I'm sure I'll fuck something else up, so it's fine.
Go jump in front of Halley's comment.
Yeah, go on, just wait for a while.
Actually, it won't come back around in my lifetime.
It's like, well, then have your ashes ready and they can catapult you into it. Go and jump in a fucking volcano or something.
While I'm reeling off useless trivia, apparently the spaceship is based off an artichoke.
I
the shape
saw
of
that. It's like, huh. Okay, like, what are we going to base our weird alien spaceship off of? Like, he must have just looked in his kitchen and gone, carrot, no. Artichokes are weird, right? Yeah, fuck it, do that.
Yeah.
Not beef broccoli? No? Okay. It did look kind of, I mean, very, obviously, heavily inspired by H.R. Giger, because it kind of had that biomechanical look. But it was weird. It did look, I liked the design of the ship, like even the end of it looked like roots from a tree. It was really weird. But yeah, anyway, so, where was I? Oh yeah, so the spaceship, Space Shuttle Churchill, they find it, and it's like, what, 150 miles long or something ridiculous?
Yeah, it's obscene.
Yeah, so like, hey, we're going to go inside. Okay. And find lots of weird bat-like creatures, which looked really cool.
Yeah.
And they took it rather well. I'd be like, oh, cool, weird monsters. Well, sorry, I think, you know what happened? I left one of the airlocks open in the ship, so I'm going to go back and wait, just in case, just someone's there. Because strange bat creatures, no.
Like, it'd be different if it was like Star Trek tribbles, where they're just fur balls, and you're like, you don't really know, you're not really threatened by fur balls. But if it's like a demon bat creature, just go ahead and burn the place.
If it looks like the demon Pazuzu from The Exorcist, maybe you should leave. Because no good can come from this. But I mean, and they find out that they're fully hollow, so I suppose that's fine. But it's all very suggestive the way it looks inside. I think is the right way to put it, especially the opening that leads to the three people in suspended animations. Like, that's a nice opening, isn't it? That's totally not like. And then considering it outside the ship, it opens like a flower. It's like, this isn't suggestive. It's not a sexual movie. No, it's not. There's no sexual undertones in this movie at all.
Nope.
Except all the tits and the sex.
I was going to say, if we float on from that room into the next room, there are a nice set of crystals. Suspended.
Is that what we call them nowadays?
Yeah. And they find those bodies, and obviously, I think I can't remember, but I think one of them said like, we should go back, and he's like, no, we need to take them.
Yeah. I think we should.
So there was one person there who was kind of like,
Because I mean, that's the thing. Is like, you would be like, because that's the thing we were talking about it, and it's like, it must be like being like an astronaut, or anything, anyone that's up in space. If you did find something, it would be so exciting and equally terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what it is. You'd be so excited, like, wow, there is other life. That'd be amazing. Like, wow, that's great. And then the warrior would sit and go, well, what is it? Is it going to eat my face? Is it going to start injecting parasites into my eyes? Or maybe it's going to be really friendly, like a dribble. Or it's going to bite my face off.
Or is it just going to go under my skin?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Body horror the shit out of me.
Exactly. I don't want that.
Yeah. But I don't know if it will do that. It's like, so
if we're careful. But they find just three people fully naked right away. Except obviously the men are it's just a little bit blurry, the crystal below.
Yeah,
because
somebody did some fake snow on that one guy's crystal. Another one's too low to be seen, but the woman is fully in view and she's towering over everyone else. It's like, okay,
fully nude, because that's censorship. That's classic. Age restrictions and what in movies you can show tits and bums and everything. If you show a penis, oh no, can't
controversy.
Have that. Can't have that. Why? But you can have someone getting their head ripped off. That's fine, or their eyes gouged out. But we can't see a penis. What? Think of the children.
Yeah. Think of the children. They'll be mortified.
Their film classifications they're just weird.
It's weird.
You can say fuck a few times, but don't you dare show any sex scenes, alright? Don't you do that, because we want these kids to be able to go and see these horror movies.
And never learn anything.
Yeah,
ever.
So weird.
Come in, kids, to Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce.
I don't want to kiss a woman ever again.
Yeah. Does that really happen?
Exactly. That's a good way, okay, kids, study safe sex, or this shit will happen, right?
Yeah.
Make sure she's not a space monster.
How do you know? You never, ever know.
You have to be so vigilant.
Never let down your guard.
Always have something sharp at the ready. No, not that. Put that down. Anyway, so they find these three people and take them back to the ship. And then after a while, the ship dies, and I think it's scuttled because it's all someone sets fire to it, and they find them, and the woman wakes up in a Space Research Center, the SCR, or the CRS or something like that. And
one thing I will say just quickly about the structure here that I really liked was that in any other movie we would follow them coming back, and we would have all of the stuff that happened on the spaceship happening in real time before we came back. And this way instead, by cutting all of that out and leaving it as a flashback later, you kind of, even though we know that they've found something, it kind of leaves us in the dark as to what exactly has gone on. I mean, obviously when one escape pod jettisons off and the other thing, we kind of assume that something has gone wrong, but we're kind of along with the characters on planet Earth, we're kind of at the same level as them of knowing exactly what's happened. So I did like that.
Yeah, it's good because it keeps you interested, invested, and instead it waits until she wakes up and sucks the life force out of that poor guard. Because then and then because you don't need to see it all happen on the ship at the beginning, because as soon as you see her do that, you go, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. But yeah, one thing I did like was it would be very strange and unsettling to find 3 people in such good physical condition that looked so pretty, because she's even got makeup on, her hair's perfect, everything's perfect. They even say, I think one of the crew even says, they look perfect. That's weird, right? That would be deeply unsettling.
I mean, it's getting ahead a bit, but doesn't Carlson say something like, she literally appeared to me as like the perfect woman in my head?
She tells him
the
the
perfect kind of like idea of femininity.
Yeah, because she says, why are you so perfect?
Yeah.
Why do I want you so much? And she basically says that when they boarded, they read their minds and took the form that was pleasing to them. It's like, that's fucked up. So knowing that, and he still knows it, and he still wants it. Like, that's why the poor bastard's so traumatized, and he doesn't have a fun time in this movie.
Yeah. Well, he's a bit tortured. But he also does have kind of like fun, sexy dreams as well.
Yeah, he gets to have fun, sexy dreams with the actress who's very attractive, and he gets to kiss Patrick Stewart. So there's that as well.
Yeah.
Well,
apparently,
also
trivia, that's his first on-screen kiss, by the way.
Awesome.
Patrick Stewart's like, it's my big break. Oh, a kissing scene, marvelous. Is it the? Oh, it's him. Oh, fair enough.
I just had the clip of Patrick Stewart from Extras, like looking at the lady in the crystal and going, and I can see everything.
Also, I did make lots of jokes when they're wheeling him around in a wheelchair. I was like, oh, he had no idea, did he? If only he knew what would be coming later. But yeah, so ship comes back. They find the corpses. Well, the 3 intact people that they presume to be human. She sucks the life force out of a guard, and then explodes the shit out of loads of glass, and then leaves and starts murdering people.
She almost kills that really tired-looking doctor as well.
Oh, I felt so bad. I felt
so bad for him. He just looks so tired.
Yeah. She's like, I just want to get to sleep.
Was he at all easy to understand for you guys? Because on my video, it was like he had a slow voice distortion, but it was really only him. Like, I know I was watching a YouTube version of it, and maybe the audio was affected, but like I said, it was just him.
Voice.
He did. There was a couple of weird dubs, because there's one character back on the Churchill when you see in the flashback. I think his name was Hallows. It was weird. Because obviously they're all restaurants, so you can see the British ones have the Great Britain flag. Carlson has the United States, the flag, United States flag. Follows. Oh, hello, I can't fucking know because he's only an incidental character. But that one character has a Great Britain flag, but they dubbed him with an American actor. It was just kept bugging me, like, why? Because you could tell his voice was dubbed. Because obviously the audio was just slightly off, and you could tell you can tell when the sound's not actually coming from them.
Yeah.
And it's like, why have they dubbed his voice? Oh, that's weird. Maybe the audio was fucked. And then he turns around and he's got the Great Britain flag. Like, why don't you just dub him with a British actor? Like, the film was made in Britain. Like, it was made in England. Fucking hell.
Wouldn't it be cheaper?
Yeah, like, that's weird. But yeah, some like strange dubbing. But yeah, so that's basically the premise. They're space vampires essentially that suck on the life force of people, turn people into husks who then reanimate after 2 hours, and then will then do the same thing to someone else, and they get their form back, and then but it's like a vampire zombie type
effects,
thing.
By the way.
Oh, they were really cool. Like when he sits up and starts...
they reminded me of Return of the Living Dead, funnily enough.
Yeah,
as well.
They really did. Like when the first one like sits up and he's just shrieking like a child almost. He's like crying like a kid, like a toddler, and then just like his like face like reforms as he's sucking the life force. Like, that's great. And then if you don't do it again in 2 hours, you die painfully because you just basically your insides turn to dust. Mm-hmm. But it's cool because it's like a zombie thing where you kill them, 2 hours later they get up and do the same thing. But then even after you have taken the life force from someone, you have to do it again.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to die. So it's like it keeps going on this perpetual cycle.
That's what made that prime minister scene so good, because he was the top of the government security, and he'd been doing it enough that he knew to like lure somebody away and then do it, and then sort of like, oh, I guess she went home or something, and who's going to question the prime minister? So like to his face, like that was like some genuine good creep factor right there. Like it wasn't like horror, but it was like, oh god, this is like going from the top and the bottom into the middle. It's burning at both ends now.
Yeah, and that's just great, is because people because the security guard that gets killed by the space woman, when he reanimates and he sucks life force from one of the doctors, and it's after that it's almost like he doesn't realise what he's done, because he's all happy and he looks down and starts screaming. He's like, what the fuck is going on? What have I done? So that's what's great, because you can do that, and then the thought of doing it when you're like a husk and then not realising what you've done until you have to then suck the life force from someone again. So it's great because you can't trust anyone. And that's why that scene's so great, because the characters know as soon as they see the Prime Minister doing it, they're like, well, fucking anyone and probably everyone in here is fucked. So we're going to leave. Yeah. And it's great. It's a really cool concept. Like I like the idea of it's not flesh-eating zombies, and it's literally just you have to be close to them.
This is the one zombie apocalypse that I can't even possibly claim to be able to survive.
No, it's just like, fuck that. Because that's what's great. Like, they don't have to... Look, vampires and zombies, they always have to bite. There's always the bite. Even like werewolves, they have to scratch you, have to claw you, something. This, you have to be inches from, just near them. Mm-hmm. Because we find out that just being in the near vicinity of the people when they're on board the Churchill, the crew start dying just by being near them. Which is fucking horrifying. And it's just... I love all three acts in the movie. It's great. The mystery at the beginning, piecing everything together. The second act, chasing after the space girl to stop her. Third act, everything's gone crazy. Big explosions. I popped when I saw Chancery Lane. It's like, yeah, Chancery Lane! I recognise these places. And fucking the ending, the finale takes place in St. Paul's Cathedral, which is like just where I work. It's like 2 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
It's like, yes! Fuck, oh, the top's gone, fuck.
And it happened, I love how kind of like gloriously chaotic and quick it happened. Like, I think they talked to the guy and he says like, is it the guy on the radio? Says like martial law has been declared like 3 hours ago, and it's like the streets are full of fucking zombies.
Yeah, it's like, and you know what? If we don't stop it, they're gonna nuke it. I like the fact that it's just like, no, we just if it's still not contained, we've got to destroy all.
Yeah. I thought that was great. Like there wasn't even like a tense moment. There was just sort of like a, dude already signed off on it about like an hour and a half ago that in 3 hours we're just going to blow the whole place up.
And again, like, I love the fact it's so, even though this movie was made in like 1985, like it says a lot about films even today. It's so refreshing that the big climactic scene, like the chaos, the big outbreak scene in a city everyone wasn't in like New York or Los Angeles or Washington, because that's usually the go-to. It's always, oh my god, New York's overrun. We have to get to the top of the Empire State Building for reasons. It's always something like that, because big city, like it's like London's fucked. It's actually having an outbreak in London might be worse because the streets are so confusing anyway.
Yeah, I'm not from London. I visit occasionally. I'm more of a kind of a country bumpkin. I live sort of near London, but I felt a huge amount of kind of hometown pride when I saw London being destroyed, because it's like, and specifically in a horror sense, because I have seen London Has Fallen and that was kind of shit. This was, it was glorious to see kind of like, oh, it's happening on our turf, and everyone has got very British accents.
Yeah, it's different as well. It's like, wow, it's fun when outbreak movies are set somewhere else other than, we have like 3 cities to choose from, because we're not allowed to do it anywhere else in these movies. Because a lot of studios like to play it safe, because they go, but everyone knows what New York is. It's like, yes, that's true, but it's fun when it's somewhere else, like Paris or something, anything different, like Sydney, Australia. But I love the fact it was all set in London, and it's fun and it's different. And the movie was just a lot of fun. Especially when it all breaks down and it's just people are just tearing each other apart.
A lot of great effects as well. One that I really enjoyed, very visceral, was Patrick Stewart's death.
Oh my god!
Scene. Yeah,
That was that was disgusting. I loved it.
yeah. That's what happens when you, I don't know. I was going to make like a Star Trek joke. It's what happens when you travel at warp speed.
There are two lights.
Captain Picard needs a sick bag on the bridge.
Wait, what? No, what is it? Is it 2, 4 lights? It's something like when he's been interrogated.
Lights. It was 4 lights.
There are 4 lights.
Yeah, the Cardassian interrogator was trying to get him to say there was 5 lights, even though there's only 4. Because once Picard said there was 5 lights, then the Cardassian investigator or interrogator would know that he broke Picard and will now believe anything he says, as opposed to, like holding on to logic and facts and sense of self. So that was a really cool scene.
It is
because it's 4 lights, and he gets carted away. It's like, yeah, that's right, bitch.
The guy's like, fuck.
I didn't win at all. Damn it.
But yeah, because it really does move at such a breakneck pace, because we think, like, because it's a 2-hour long movie, and I think it's clever that the last half an hour is when the outbreak and the insanity is fully in full swing, because a regular movie, they capture Patrick Stewart, who's possessed by her at the end of movie, they take her back and they do something, happy ending. This is, okay, they've got him. Oh, there's something going on, London's fucked. Oh, and then blood starts shooting out of his and the defence minister's face.
Yep.
I feel really bad. I feel really bad for the defence minister when he breaks his neck. It's like, oh no, I feel bad for him. He was like a little chubby guy. He was really nice.
Yeah.
He was a politician that wasn't a dick in movies.
I think the person. Well, there are so many badasses and badass lines in this, because I wrote a couple of them down because I think I'm gonna read them to myself whenever I need a chuckle. My favorite character, without a doubt, was the Doctor. The one,
Dr. Hans
sword.
Verlader. Yes.
Yeah. And I've written here in capital letters, "Can you hear me, Carlson? I killed him the old way."
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Which, translation, with a fucking sword. With a fucking big sword.
Well, it's good because you see him getting it and it arrives and they establish he's getting it, because you know that he's... And it makes sense as well, because they establish that he's obsessed with finding out what happens after death, if there is anything beyond death. So it makes sense that he would know about all this. Like, he knows about the vampire legends of old. Like, he knows that because I think it's like even in some older vampire literature, like, it's silver works on them as well.
Yeah.
Obviously nowadays people go, silver, that's only werewolves. Like, in some books it's not. I think it might even be in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think they kill him with a silver stake or like a knife. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I know it's in some lore anyway. But anyway, so you see him get the sword, and then we realise one of the male vampires that we thought was blown up had actually taken the form of one of the soldiers. He walks in, and we're like, oh fuck, he's dead. Yeah. I was like, oh no, he's dead. That sucks. And then the camera it cuts back. And they just said, Carlson, I killed him the old way. Camera pans around and he's just like skewered the motherfucker. It was great. Yeah. Because they had me, because every other film, the older character, like the specialist, that's the doctor or whatever, who's like figuring things out, is killed by the monster or whatever. So the camera, it cuts away. You think he's dead. We later find out that he was basically dead from that point, and he was fucked from that point anyway.
Yeah.
But he still manages to stab him. Skewers him, tells them how to kill him as well.
Yeah, I really liked his character, I think, because, like you said, he was really interested in all that other stuff as well. I like Doctor characters that can see beyond the limits of science. It reminds me actually of Hammer horror films, and I was reading an interview with Tobe Hooper about this film, and apparently he said it was great because I got the budget to just go make a hammer, like a 70mm hammer flick.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that kind of character, the kind of the gentleman, but also kind of like knowledgeable about esoteric stuff. Because me and my wife recently we started watching Hammer films because she really loves them, and I'm getting into them.
Cool. I haven't seen them ages, but they are good.
One we watched recently was the Devil Rides Out, which is a great film. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't fuck about. It starts with like operatic music and pictures of Satan. It's like, welcome,
whoa,
come on in, kids, to The Devil Rides Out.
Sure.
I might pick it for the podcast someday, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But Christopher Lee's character in that is very much a kind of like a gentleman aristocrat who's also read all this esoteric knowledge. So he kind of goes, "Oh shit, that's a black magic thing," and kind of like. So I really like that there was kind of that streak running through this as well. You know, not necessarily kind of like black magic, but that, you know, there was a doctor prepared to learn stuff about like the nature of things beyond our understanding and realms. And he has also got a sword.
Badass sword as well.
Yeah.
It's like that's if he wasn't being played by what was the actor's name? Frank Finlay. I could totally see like a Peter Cushing playing the same character.
Yeah, same
totally
kind of,
see a Peter Cushing.
And I think that DNA is in there, and it kind of just adds to everything.
Oh, it does. But that's the thing. Like, I like all the characters. I've already said before. I really like all the characters. And it's so rare in a horror film like this as well. I mean, because it's not a huge cast, but they all get the licks. They all get to do something.
Yeah.
Like especially the finale where the two main characters split off. Coulson's like going straight to find where she is. Caine's trying to. He goes back to the center to get the sword. And they split off and they're doing different things. And we're watching. It's like really they're both heroic. They're both main characters, but really the main hero is probably Caine.
Yeah.
Just because he goes through, because he, like, Coulson is not in the right mind at this point. He's like, I'm just going to go there because she wants me to find her. Like, yeah, that's why she wants you to go there. Caine also has a really badass line as well. Just when he approaches St. Paul's Cathedral, he has the sword, and the other surviving male vampire, he says something like, just come to me now, it's far less terrifying that way.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he grips the sword behind him and goes, that's exactly what I intend to do. And then just fucking runs off and stabs him right in the stomach.
Yeah.
It's great. Really cool.
Like the only contradiction to like the main hero in this movie, and I still believe it's Caine by like a slim margin, is the fact that after that scene when he goes to Carlson, finds that hole in the ground or whatever, and like the vampire lady and Carlson are getting beamed up or down, whatever,
or something.
They're getting down while being beamed up.
Yeah, there you go. You got to get up to get down. So they like Caine, I figured he would like throw the sword or something because that would make him fully the hero.
Yeah,
but he ends up like, Carlson, hope you use this. And Carlson's, yeah, sure. I've got the upper body strength and like the shoulder, like the deltoid, the quadriceps, and oblique strength to shove this through both of us at the same time. Through her back and then out my back. It's like, oh my God, dude. That gives you like a bit of an edge. Now you're like 49% hero because of that. Because that's hard to do with the blade being as long as it is. Just like, let me get around there.
It's like,
move.
There we go. Oh, I missed
and I'm in. Okay.
What have I done?
So...
Well,
but yeah,
simply he was in love on a level you couldn't understand.
That it frightens me.
Yeah,
I love the fact that he shouts that as isn't that when the flashback happens to the spaceship again?
Yeah, and
like it's so cheesy. It's kind of like because they're yelling at the top of their voices. He's like, "I was in love at a level you couldn't understand, Caine," and then it like fades to a spaceship.
Yeah,
but it's just what he says afterwards as well. And he's like, "I was in love for more than you can understand, and it terrified me."
Yeah.
Like, ooh. Like, oh.
There's so many ideas here.
Can I please mention? Sorry.
Sorry.
The fucking spaceship set is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool. I love really good spaceship designs when they're not too over the top. Like,
if it was like used today, it would still be a fantastic spaceship design.
Yeah.
If it's like the fact that it's all white for one, like a NASA spaceship, like in my idea looks like, because I mean I've seen pictures on the inside and on the outside, everything's always white with NASA, and it was a NASA spaceship, I think, right? I think they had NASA logos on things.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So and like the sleeping compartments and stuff made sense. The corridors from like transport from one place to another when they picked up the derelict spaceship looked really good. Like all the 0G stuff looked like a magic trick.
Yeah, great.
Because they didn't have CGI, or they didn't have much CGI. They didn't have the level of CGI they would require to do 0G characters. But like, yeah, like the way they floated, I guess the wire work was fantastic or something. Because I started thinking it's got to be wires, but I don't see any. And they're really playing it up so good. Like when they come out of a 0G chamber, like climbing a ladder, coming out like a manhole surface or whatever, the way that they would like hold their arms up high to sort of like swoop through, as opposed to like, climbing or whatever. Just like I like the entire movie, I was thinking, wow, that was great. That part by itself was the best part. Just like all the sets. I mean, not even counting the London disaster zombie stuff, but the spaceships were really good. That's all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound so desperate to say that, but I was.
No, it's
no, it was a worthy spaceship.
Yeah, like
it was a worthy spaceship.
There's nothing quite like good sci-fi horror as well, especially when the ship looks believable.
Yeah.
You look at the ship, you're like, yeah, I believe I believe that's a spaceship. I believe that is something they would be able to use.
Like, if you take that and you compare it to, was it Galaxy of Terror? Was that the one with the pyramid?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you put those two together, you can see what I'm talking about. Like, a Galaxy of Terror stuff is like, it's passable. But this looks like if they used it today to film, like, a science or space documentary, it would be perfectly fine,
Yeah.
It was really good.
Oh, no, yeah. That would hold up today, like, in terms of set design, definitely. There's nothing wrong with that at all. God, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. So
It's a really fun movie.
I guess, unless Chris has any other spacecraft he'd like to comment on in general,
The artichoke.
I think that's us done for Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce. Should
Yeah,
I call it
good movie.
Lifeforce or Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce?
Just like
It's better than the space vampires. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's. I mean, apparently the author didn't like the film adaptation, but come on, man, you called your book The Space Vampires. I mean, it's. But I'm not saying that doesn't mean the book's better, because it, sometimes a lot of times the book is, but you called your book The Space Vampires. Come on.
Yeah. What do you expect, Guy? Seriously.
Come on, man.
Just give away the plot by the name of the book.
Like, I don't have to watch the movie now.
Yeah. Oh, it's space vampires. I'm sure they solved the problem, so I don't need to read this book or watch the movie.
That would be a really fun exercise, actually, because I'm obviously, you guys know I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Recently, I've been on a super binge. I was going to talk about it in the beforehand, but I may as well mention it now. I've been listening to a podcast called The Losers Club. Obviously, The Losers Club is their name that the kids have in it. They've been doing like basically a chronological sequential reread. So they started at Carrie, and then went on Salem's Lot, and they've been going through they've been going a couple of years now, but I'm catching up to where they are. So I'm on a massive Steve King binge at the moment, and it would be a really fun exercise to just sit there and rework all of his titles to be as blatant as the space vampires. Like The Shining could be the hotel where bad shit happened, and Carrie could be like I don't know, bloody girl kills school. I don't know.
Psycho Girl.
Yeah, Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a fun exercise to do, actually. I'm going to do that later.
I do want to mention one more spaceship, actually.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Wow.
Before I watched Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce, I did watch a speedrun of the NES game Lifeforce.
Oh, of course, yes.
Like, I was like, I would rather watch this Lifeforce, and it's only 25 minutes. I was going to make that like my intro to our review of the movie, because I'd be like, I'm surprised you chose to watch a 25-minute movie, but the music was fantastic. But I didn't do that. But anyway,
Why'd you pick the NES game? It doesn't really fit the podcast.
well, it's horrifying in its own way, because how tense it is and how fast it goes sometimes.
It's true,
and,
it is a shooter.
Yeah.
On the NES.
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page now, and apparently that's got its own issues with naming, because in America it's called Lifeforce, in Europe it's called Lifeforce Salamander, it's called Salamander in Japan, or Saramanda, I guess.
Saramanda.
Salamander.
I'm looking, it's very hard not to be racist when reading things like this, but I'm on Wikipedia's page, and it's got salamander, and it's got the kanji, and then it says Saramanda, and then it says retitled Lifeforce, it's got some more kanji, and then it's got Rifle Force.
Yay!
It's like, oh my god, I sound, white, very
That's
white
fine.
saying this.
Yeah, it's fine. They would. I mean, like no one in Vietnam is like, "Hey, it's pronounced meatball sandwich." You know, just that's a Craig Kill. What's his last name? No, Craig Kinane. No, Kyle Kinane. Comedy bit. That's when they give him credit. Anyway, sorry, go on.
So, just about the pronunciation of Lifeforce, I just recently finished Yakuza 6, which was incredibly emotional because I love the series and that ending nearly broke me. Cool. There's a really cool side mini game with side quests where you have to make like a gang to take on this group called Justice, which was originally made to like fight against the street gangs back in the day, but now they're like, they're evil as well now for reasons. And what's really cool is all the main guys in control are wrestlers from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they've used their names and their likenesses and everything, and they've got like their little catchphrases and that. It's really cool because they voice them, and you can, when you beat them, they join you. And you find out why they were doing it, and they were doing it for good reasons. But it's called Justice, but it's spelled Justis. So they actually pronounce it as Justice. But then there's a bit right when you finish it, and Kazuma Kiryu, the main character, says, "Why did you spell justice like that?" And the two that formed it originally go, "Did we spell it wrong? What do you mean?" Mm-hmm. He goes, "You spell it Justis." And that, what? And he goes, "This correct spelling is Justice." And they go, "Oh, what the hell? That's so embarrassing." We've been saying it wrong the whole time. Some of the side quests in the game are absolutely fucking bonkers. Like fighting pirate ghosts.
Yeah. I almost want to play the Yakuza series because I've seen some videos of some really wild shit.
They're fun.
But I don't know if I could handle it.
They're so fun.
Okay, I have a chicken as my assistant. I'm going to put the controller down and leave.
Yeah. They're so fun. They're a lot of people see them as like the first one as like the spiritual sequel to Shenmue.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I can kind of see it because there's like the big hub city that you can run around and do things and play mini games. It's like Yakuza 6. They've got, I think it's Virtua Fighter 5 you can play. You should go to the arcade and you can play Virtua Fighter 5.
I think that was the best one too.
It's ridiculous. It's either 5. It was one of them. One of the really recent ones. It's like, yeah, the full game's in there.
Oh my god.
And I was like, no, maybe you must just be like, just a couple of matches, like arcade mode. Okay then. Because in some of the previous ones, they had like Super Hang-On, Outrun, stuff like that, Space Harrier. And that's similar to like Shenmue, where you could play like Afterburner and stuff at the arcades. But
yeah,
in Yakuza, there's less of. I love the Shenmue games, but there's less of the tedious stuff, like having to go to work and pay your rent and stuff.
Yeah.
There's more fighting, and the plot is like really fucking. The plot for all of them is always really good. It's always like a big mystery thing, like who's pulling the strings, why is this happening? And the combat's what keeps it going. Like the plot's great, and the combat keeps you playing because it's just so much fun to beat people like that. I will never get bored of using the heat mode move, which is like the big special move you can do. Grabbing someone, dragging them over to a bit of like steel fencing, slamming their face onto the fencing, and then getting the palm of my hand and slamming it in the back of their head. That'll never get boring.
Yeah.
Or when you do it, you slam their face into a wall and then knee them in the back of their head at the same time. Like that will never get boring.
Yeah.
It's a series that I've just got on ice. Like my brother is well into them and plays them, all of them. Great. So I'm just kind of like, I'll get round to it. I from things I've heard, it seems a lot like a kind of a spiritual successor to Shenmue.
Yeah. If you want to start from the beginning, you can get Yakuza Kiwami on PS4, which is basically a remake of the first one.
Yeah, that would be good.
And they're releasing Kiwami 2 later this year. Like, it comes out in August. So I'm like, yay, more Yakuza. And then Yakuza 3 is on PS3, and then there's 4 and 5 as well. And then Yakuza 0, which is also very good. It's really like because obviously the gameplay they can never change it too much, but they always make enough changes to the combat that each one feels slightly different. And I need to finish I think it's 4 because I did play it but I never finished it. And you play as there's 4 different characters, so you keep switching between them throughout the story. So again, it was a way to it's like, because by that time you had 3 games with Kiryu where it's like his fighting style is his fighting style, and now suddenly you've got like three other characters with completely different fighting styles, which makes the game unique. It makes it more fun. So like suddenly you can play as like I think he plays a character called Akiyama, and he's more like he's he's faster. There's more like kickboxing, stuff like that. So, but I can't recommend them enough because they're so much fun.
Jim Sterling made a good point a couple of weeks ago in a video where he said those games essentially use like the same square block of city or town, but like it's never dull or repetitive. So it sounds really good. It sounds like a living, breathing kind of place. Yeah, it is, and in particular in this one where in 6, there's less loading time. So before, like, to go into like stores and that, you would enter and it'd be like a loading screen, like a brief loading screen to go in. But this one, you just like walk straight in. Oh, nice. Which is really cool, and it makes everything feels more alive. But anyway, this is not the Yakuza podcast. Well,
no,
I
it's
have to get
not.
around to it at some point.
But yeah, Lifeforce. I love this movie because it was fucking mental.
It was deliciously
it was mental,
chaotic.
and it was responsible with its plot. It made sense from beginning to end. Even though it was like a B-movie plot, it was like, this is a good B-movie plot. This makes sense. Yeah. There's enough information to make you follow along. Yeah, and you could... I got the sense that it was a lot of fun to make as well. Yeah, probably, with the naked lady on set all the time.
Yeah. Even though apparently she didn't speak any English when she started, so she ended up learning it phonetically. Oh. And then during the 6 months on making the film, she learned English. Because I was reading somewhere, it might be on the IMDb trivia page, that the 2 doctors, like Falada and Bukowski, that we meet early on, were supposed to have like a German accent. Because obviously the character, Dr. Hans Falada and Dr. Leonard Bukowski. Of course. But they said, can you maybe let's just use your British accents because she's having a hard time anyway, and you're just going to confuse her.
I'm glad that happened though, because the accents for me especially made this kind of, I don't know, warm and fuzzy for me.
It's weird to see a big budget sci-fi horror movie set in England with all but like, there was like, I mean, Carlson obviously, American. All the other characters primarily are British. That's for a movie of that budget as well. That's really strange.
It's nice
because most studios will be like, no, we need more. Like, a lot of studios, but no, we need more Americans because then it'll make more money in America. They speak English. Let's be fine. The fucking movie studios are weird. No, it has to have this because then like it'll make more money in America. Like, but will it? Maybe they want something different now. I mean, not this movie made a lot of money, but I say that, and this movie didn't make back its budget. So
we kind of
nowadays. I think if this movie was made now, it'd probably be more of a sleep. It would have the potential to be like a sleeper hit.
Yeah, and I'm glad that kind of, although it wasn't a success in its time, it clearly, as with most of the films that you picked, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's kind of like a cult appreciation grows for it afterwards.
Yeah, like a zombie flesh eaters. Yeah. Like this. It's films that come out and they go, they're good. And like the critics I don't think the critics actually kind of like this, but yeah, sometimes movies are weird. Like you look at stuff like Blade Runner, which is like critically panned, made no fucking money, and is now like regarded as one of the best sci-fi movies like ever made.
Yeah,
right.
Like The Thing was destroyed critically when it came out.
Oh, really? That was such a good movie.
I know. It was destroyed when it came out.
Like, I watched that even before I started getting into, like, this podcast stuff, the horror movies and stuff. Like, I don't like horror movies. I didn't like horror movies really that much. But The Thing was so smart. Like, they're so full of, like, scientists that were figuring stuff out. Had, like, a real good sociological aspect to it. Like, people were like, are you the guy or this guy or whatever? And yeah, like that scene with the fire, the flamethrower, where they're doing that test, and that guy comes like ripping out of himself. So good. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like, give this guy a hand, like clap for him, because that was fantastic, right? I mean, that was an entertainment right there, and critics so hard to please.
Yeah, I know, and it's one of those movies like sometimes critics go back and go, I mean, like I always respect a critic if they can look back at films and hold their hands up and say I was wrong. Because it's happened a few times. They've because they watch so many films, they can be in. You think you're on like your fourth movie of the day.
Yeah.
You might just be like, fuck's sake! I've just come out like watching 2-hour movies. Now I've got to watch something like for fuck's sake. But Mark Kermode, like one of my favourite critics, has said in the past he was too hard in certain films. But that with that in particular, when you look at like the way it's received now, and it's again like. Whereas, Blade Runner is regarded as like a classic in sci-fi, The Thing is heralded as a classic of horror genre because it's just, like you were saying, so intelligent. Also, that scene when they're doing the blood test and the guy transforms and whatnot, also leads to one of my favourite lines in the movie is when the guy is still, like, there's one guy still turned up and he's like, and they're doing the final test and he's clear and he goes, now, this is something to the effect of, now, if you wouldn't mind... could you untie me because I don't want to sit here for the rest of my life tied to this fucking couch. I love it.
Yeah.
But there. So Lifeforce. I loved it. It was mental, and I'm probably going to search out on Blu-ray now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If I ended up having to buy it on iTunes just to watch it because that's what it would come down to, since it wasn't on Netflix, it wasn't on YouTube. No, it was on YouTube, but it was like a bootleg copy with like 40% of the screen, and then like the other part of the screen was swirling stars and stuff. But I have to hand it to him. The video itself was HD. That was some crisp video. Right. It wasn't like the other one, which was like you take the full movie, but you zoom in about 40% to the center, and you just lose everything on the edges. I was like, I can't watch that. Like you only see like half of the names in the opening credits, so it's like that's not possible.
Well,
but
thankfully,
if I had to buy it, I wouldn't have been so mean about it. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the next choice falls to me, and my choice is decidedly a bit more mainstream. You should definitely be able to get a hold of this. So, speaking of Lifeforce, and kind of like, I really like this podcast because we can kind of pull out these cult classics that none of us have ever seen and just, slide up like a slice of 80s brilliant, awesome movie. And it'll be a sad day when all of those movies are exhausted for me. But hopefully that'll never happen.
I don't know, Tom. There's plenty of Italian horror I can dig up.
Yeah. Like as I say that, Matt just like licks his fingers and turns to his huge like
Lucio
shelf.
Fulci's City of the Dead.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we will get round to all of those. But it reminded me of there are quite a lot of actually mainstream, well-lauded, massive. Horror films that I have not actually seen yet, through one reason or another. Maybe I just wasn't young when it came out, and so things like A Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never seen any of those movies.
Really?
No, but I think part of that
two of them are good.
becomes the fact that it was like in the 80s, and I was born very tail end of the 80s, so I was too young to be actually watching them when they were coming out. And I mean, there are some on VHS and things that I found that way from that era. Like, for some reason, I've seen Critters 2, but I haven't seen a Nightmare on Elm Street film. Critters 2, by the way, classic, perfect. There's an it's set at Easter, and there's like an Easter egg hunt, and the critters hatch from the eggs and eat the kids. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's Critters.
Maybe that'll be on the podcast someday. But this time. For the podcast, we are going to be visiting a film I've never seen before. I have seen one of the sequels, actually, funnily enough. One of the bad sequels. Yes, I'm putting it off just for 1 second because I'm doing something really clever with my phone that will make sense in a minute. So, the other thing with the podcast is we're actually recording these quite... far in advance, and actually by the time they're going to be released, because I haven't been getting my finger out when it comes to creating the new visuals for the podcast. By the way, you're welcome for the new visuals for the podcast that you'll definitely see while you're listening to this. We're actually quite a few months behind, so by the time this podcast actually goes live, maybe it will be fitting because
the World Cup.
we are going to Halloween.
Fuck yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one, right? The original.
Yeah,
The John Carpenter classic.
John Carpenter's original Halloween, number 1.
Yes.
1978. I've never seen it. When I said I hadn't seen it, my wife pulled like kind of, I guess, a Michael Myers face. Love you, honey. Reading about it as well, it's really interesting because it's got Donald Pleasance in it, who I actually really like as an actor. I've seen other stuff with, like a film studies course. I had to watch like a really bizarre film with him in it. I think it was called Cul-de-sac. Not sure. Wow. Let's Google this shit. Film. Cul-de-sac film. Basically, I think they were living in like a castle. Yeah. Donald Pleasance was in Cul-de-sac, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, so I really like Donald Pleasance. I like the theme tune. Theme tune's good. Mm-hmm. So I figured it's time that I watch Halloween, and because I take it you guys have both seen it then.
I love it.
I have seen, I think that one, or it was the Rob Zombie version of it.
Oh, the remake.
Yeah, it's one of those two. But I have spent some time on a Halloween.
The only Halloween I've seen is Halloween H2O.
Oh.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
It could be
I heard
worse.
that one was all wet.
Oof. Pretty much you could have watched
Isn't there one with Busta Rhymes in it?
Yes.
Yeah,
where,
I gather that's worse than the H2O.
Yeah, where he has the line.
That's gotta be a lot of fun, though.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like, this is
you know he wrote that himself, right?
Okay, shit. Guys, I changed my mind. We're watching that.
No.
Well, I'm glad that at least I'm revisiting the original so that by the time I get to that, I'll fully understand the nuance of Busta Rhymes' character and understand what led up to that point.
Yeah.
There's a great bit where he's dressed as Michael Myers and he turns around to the other Michael Myers and he goes, "Motherfucker, I'm Michael Myers this time. Get down in your head." You're like, what is going on? Why is Busta Rhymes dressed as Michael Myers shouting at Michael Myers?
Because this is all a fever dream that has somehow been captured on film.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Oh.
It's in the trailer as well. Someone thought that was a good idea to put it in the trailer. Do you remember when these
That
movies were
late
good?
90s, early 2000s? It was a weird time for horror films.
Yeah, it was a bad time for horror films. But, you know, H2O could have been worse one to pick. You could have picked 4, 5, 6. Basically any of the sequels, except there's elements of 3 I like, but we can discuss 3 next week.
Okay, cool. Is Halloween the one with the silver shamrock?
That's the 3rd one.
Okay.
Silver Shamrock.
So we will get round to that.
Stop it.
Because I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
Okay,
happy,
cool.
Happy Halloween, Halloween. Yeah. But I end up singing the song. No, I'll melt some child's face. Wow. Yes. It's good. Well, it's not good. It's okay. It gets a bad rap.
Doesn't feature Michael Myers.
No. That's why it gets a bad rap. They wanted to make them like an anthology series.
And
so each one would be like a different story.
Very briefly, talking about Stephen King, I've been getting back into Stephen King. I've been looking up the adaptations of his work, and I was reading about Creepshow and Cat's Eye and all of these kind of short story collections, anthology movies. Definitely going to pick one of those for the podcast at some point because I love anthology movies. I wish there were more.
Do it.
Yeah, do it. But first, Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes, first Halloween.
So,
yes, I'm all for that.
And yeah, like I said, by the time the episode comes out, it probably will be Halloween, so it's very fitting.
Yeah, so
like Halloween
that
2020.
World Cup, hey?
It's like Halloween 2020.
You guys are still with us.
Oh.
So I can't believe you broke the immersion. Like there's probably someone like, I feel betrayed that this isn't bi-weekly when I listen to them. So let's just try and see. So, man, that World Cup was good. I can't believe insert team here. I can't believe they won the whole thing. Who thought they'd have done it? I mean, they were the underdogs right from the beginning. You know,
who'd have thought they'd take the ball all the way to the goal?
Yeah, I can't believe that this player won the Golden Boot as well. So,
I can't believe Donald Trump got a second term.
And a third. I can't believe
And a third. The third one was out of left field.
God damn.
Oh my God.
Don't do that. That's too close to home.
Okay, sorry.
I hear the gun popping.
Keep it purely to the topic of serial killers in masks from now.
Yeah, so,
Yes, please.
anyway, that's Donald Trump. It looks like he wears a mask.
That's kind of.
Well, with that,
With his tiny hands.
horrifying reminder. Next time we will talk about Halloween. Until then, it's goodbye from us. Please do not expend your life force. It's important that you keep on sucking the life force out of other people to maintain.
Don't kiss Patrick Stewart. It's a trap. Okay.
It is.
Clearly, it's a trap.
No one told Ian McKellen though.
It's like the really un-PC part of my brain that just like kind of it's not what I think, but it's the first thing that came into my head when that happened, because he kissed Patrick Stewart and then Patrick Stewart like exploded and vomited blood and everywhere, and like in my mind the subtitle "homosexuality is bad" appeared like on the bottom of the screen.
Wow. For a quarter second, I was like, that happened? Patrick Stewart's dead? Oh, wait. No, you're doing a joke.
Oh, my God. It's his weakness.
I think the next time I see Patrick Stewart, I'm going to kiss him.
That's his Horcrux.
Yeah, he likes it.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah, that's enough.
Woof.
This episode of Spoilers of the Damned was hosted by Axton10_61, Madcus Finch, and Garlips. To find out about us, as well as join the discussion on our Discord, check out all the links in the description below. Please feel free to leave a review or rate us on your podcast app of choice.